Hey, I want you to think of one thing that you should be practicing. If you were to practice this one thing, it would make the biggest overall difference in your saxophone playing, but for whatever reason, you don't practice it. In today's video, I'm going to talk about those things that we practice instead and why. Just like in our personal and professional lives, we can end up spending a lot of time working on things we perceive to be urgent, but they're not actually important. Here's some examples of what I mean. Number one, playing really fast tempos or playing really fast passages, licks really fast, things like that. Number two is playing really complex chord progressions and advanced harmony when improvising. And number three is something like learning to play altissimo. These things are great. We all want to learn how to do them and incorporate them into our playing. The problem is that each one of these techniques is like the tip of a mountain. And we can't actually use these techniques until we've established the base and built the base of our mountain. They're like the icing on the cake. But if you haven't built the cake yet, if you haven't baked your cake of fundamentals and core techniques, how are you going to put icing on it? We need to establish the base of our mountain before we'll ever be able to master the things that are going to rest on top. I spent an enormous amount of time working on the tops of the mountains and the icing on the cake when I really should have been spending much more time baking my cake base and building my mountain base. And my guess is many of you have done or are doing the same thing. So let's talk about how we can correct this. For the first example of playing really fast tempos, this is the tip of a mountain that needs to be built on solid finger technique, on playing slowly, on really solid sense of time, and a lot of work with the metronome. So if you're wanting to play really fast, you're wasting your time practicing really fast tempos and playing things really quickly if you're not first practicing things slowly, at medium tempos, at slow tempos. Okay, let's face it. In reality, 95% of the time or more, the tempos you're going to be playing in real-life situations on gigs are going to be slow, medium fast. Rarely are you going to need to play at a super fast tempo. And the only time you should be playing at super fast tempos is when you're in a band with a smoke and rhythm section where everybody can handle that tempo in a relaxed way. Playing double time is cool. But if you listen to the great masters, and many of whom play double time really effectively, if you listen carefully, you'll notice they're not always playing double time. In fact, often the double time is sprinkled in. It's like an effect. It's like the icing on the cake. And it's resting on top of a base of really groovy stuff that is eighth notes, quarter notes, space, Bluetooth headphones. Cannot live without these. Great for practicing. The second thing, learning really advanced tunes with complex chord changes and learning the advanced improvisation techniques that take you outside of the harmony and get you playing lots of altered notes. Another thing that I spent a lot of time working on before I really established the base of understanding simple harmony and the simple usage of scales for the purposes of melody and improvising. Everybody's always asking, oh, you're teaching about the pentatonic scales. I already learned my pentatonic scale. I really want to learn how to play the cool stuff. Okay, that's all well and good. The problem is when I hear those people playing, they haven't really learned the basics yet. I was in the same situation. I wanted to learn how to play giant steps, but I hadn't mastered playing simple things like the blues or a tune like Autumn Leaves. You need to have a deep understanding of the simple harmony before you're ready for the more complex harmony. Just a mouthpiece. Another thing I'm asked about all the time is how to play altissimo. One of my most popular videos is one I made about getting into the altissimo range on the saxophone. These things also protect your ears. They need protection. Again, it's the sort of thing you think, wow, if I could just play these super high notes, that's gonna make me sound really cool. That's gonna bring my saxophone playing to the next level. If you're interested in learning altissimo, ask yourself, am I practicing long tones every day over the full range of my instrument? Am I working on my overtones every day? If you're not doing that and haven't been doing it for a while, you're not ready for altissimo. Build the mountain first, then get into the more fancy things. I have a course dedicated to the fundamentals, the building of the mountain bases, if you will. The things I recommend my students practice and work on daily. It's called Core Essentials, and I put a link to it in the description below and on screen. At the beginning of this video, I asked you to think of one thing that you should be practicing that you're not already working on that is going to really help you improve and develop as a saxophone player. Chances are the thing you thought of was something fundamental, something you know the great saxophone players spent a lot of time working on and are probably still working on day in and day out today. But it's the sort of thing that can easily be neglected. Long tones, slow tempos, simple chord progressions, these might not seem like really sexy things to be working on in the practice room, but they're gonna make you stand out from everyone else. Leave the other stuff for once you've already built your mountain up. And when you're ready to work on those things, don't spend too much of your practice time on them. Everything needs to be relative to its importance. Those things are cool, but they're not important like time feel is. They're not important like sound is. They're not important like having a deep, intimate knowledge of basic harmony that gets used 95% of the time in music. So if you want to feel like you're getting somewhere with your saxophone practice, work on the things that are important and leave the other stuff for another time. As always, if you like this video, please click the thumbs up. Go ahead and share this with anyone else you may think is interested. And if you're not already subscribed, get yourself subscribed. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.